The 8000 is kind of an imposing machine when you first walk up to it. Every side is covered with panels with these little quarter turn screws. So with a little twist, we can remove the panel. With the side off, we can see there's something missing in this area. I'll go over that in a minute. This is the AC fuse board. The power supply lives inside of here. Big capacitors. Around the back, another cover. And we have the connectors. So on this side, if this was a star, we'd have the monitor and the keyboard plugged in here. This is an option. Also note, these connectors have the sliding lock tabs like an AUI port. All of the main connectors on this system use those. On the other side, we have the Ethernet transceiver, the cable for the Lear-Sigler terminal, the printer interface, and the serial ports. Here at the front of the machine, if I take this cover off, this is the maintenance panel, which has the reset and alternate boot switches, as well as the power switch. And this is the actual computer part. In here we have the memory board, high-speed I/O, central processor, options, and I/O processor. If I take the central processor card out, we will see the Wildflower architecture, which is built around these AMD 2900 bit slice processors, just like the Daybreak. I believe this is the control store down here. Here's the memory board. This is 768K of memory. This is the high-speed I/O board. These connectors here are for the 17-inch monitor and the disk controller. You can see, there's a fair few chips on here, but it's all just kind of standard glue logic stuff. That's because the work of actually running the disk controller and drawing on the display is done in the central processor with microcode. There's essentially like processing slots, and the microcode goes round and round in a circle, and each device in the system gets a slot to do its work. The slots are allocated a specific number of processor cycles, and the microcode moves from slot to slot to slot. So that way each device is guaranteed the amount of bandwidth that it wants. And then the last board here is the optional board, OPT board. I don't know exactly what that does, but I'm going to put it on a subtitle here. So what goes in this large hole is the hard drive, which would have been one of these beasties. So this is a Shugart SA1004 10 megabyte hard disk, 8-inch. There is an AC motor and a belt that drives the hub. The head stepper is there. Maybe you can just see it. This is actually working. I got it working. But then I discovered that 10 megabytes was not enough space to install all the software and the fonts and everything needed for the printer. So to actually demo this, we're going to be using one of David Guesswine's MFM emulators with the SA1000 adapter board. Not my finest work, but it'll do for the minute. So let's go through the process of turning the system on. First thing is we're going to insert our diagnostic floppy disk because we have to set the clock. I'm going to hold the alternate boot button as I turn the power on and select device 2. You hold the button while the display counts up and then release it when it's at the device you'd like.
Then in a moment,
It's going to try to locate a time server on the network, which we don't have because this is the first computer to boot up on the network.
so this will fail.
Now we enter our details here.
It's our 7. Let's vacate.
I'm going to hit break as soon as this changes screens because we don't want to actually test the hard drive. So now that the clock is set, we can eject this disk and reset the system. And now we are loading from the hard drive. That says this is the Boot Diagnostics version 8. This message confirms the system administrator display is operational, which is this Lear-Sigler terminal. So this is going to go and count through a whole bunch of things. And 6 minutes later, the server is booted up. I can get help. I can log in. This machine has tab completion. If I hit escape, it'll complete that. Oops. And now we are logged in. We can show our currently logged on user. We can show the number of times that the disk has been checked. Oh, we can look at the log file. And then we can also enable. Because I'm a system administrator, notice my prompt changed to an exclamation point. This is just kind of like on Cisco equipment. So now I've got a lot more administrative features available. I can change to the clearinghouse service. And now you see we have more options. So we can list all the users in our directory, which there's only one at present. We can reset to go back to the kind of starting context, and we can also change to the print service. And so in here we can, now if we do a list, if I could type, I believe we have list documents. So we can show everything that's ever been printed on here, which is just one thing so far. And let me show you why. So you're probably familiar with the test pages from earlier that were coming out like this. But when I run the test page from the computer, I get a blank sheet. Ignore the garbage from the printer being dirty. And what we think is happening is that there is a horizontal sync signal that comes from the printer back to the computer over the thick cable, and that signal is not there. So kind of an anticlimactic episode in a way, but we have shown that the 8000 hardware here seems to be working 100%. We've been able to load the services software, create a clearinghouse, and install the print service. So I think next we're going to need to take the printer apart again and delve into the laser assembly. Thanks for watching.